Today, we're going to unpack the story behind what is, without a doubt, the single most important chemical reaction on Earth. And trust me, this is way more than just a biology lesson. This is the secret story of the green engine that powers our entire world.
So what is it? What's this all-important reaction? Well, the answer isn't tucked away in some high-tech lab. It's happening right now, literally all around you, inside every single green leaf. It is the silent, powerful engine of life itself.
All right, so to understand this engine, we first need to get our hands on its secret recipe. And this isn't just a recipe for plant food. Nope. This is the recipe that fuels almost every living thing on this planet. Yeah, that includes us.
And here it is, the official name, photosynthesis. Now, the key word on this slide, the one you really need to focus on, is manufacture. Plants aren't out there finding food. They are incredible chemists, creating their own energy-packed food from the absolute simplest ingredients imaginable.
Here's that recipe in its most basic form. On the left, you've got the ingredients: carbon dioxide from the air we breathe out and water from the soil. And on the right, you get the amazing products: glucose, which is basically a sugar packed with energy, and of course, oxygen. But you know, this simple equation is kind of missing two secret ingredients: the sunlight that powers the whole reaction, and that special green pigment that captures the light, which is called chlorophyll.
So, how in the world do we know this recipe is actually correct? I mean, science isn't about just taking things at face value, right? So let's become detectives for a few minutes and look at the classic experiments that proved what plants really need to cook up their food.
The method is actually so simple, it's brilliant. You just take away one ingredient at a time and see if the whole process still works. If it stops, well, then you know you've found a crucial ingredient. Now, we can't really test for glucose easily because the plant uses it up so fast, but what we can do is test for starch. Starch is just how plants store all their leftover glucose, and a simple iodine test makes it super easy to see where that starch is.
Okay, first up, chlorophyll. The clever trick here is to use what's called a variegated leaf. You know, one of those leaves that's naturally part green and part white. This is perfect because it gives us a built-in control group. The green parts have chlorophyll, the white parts don't. So after it's been in the sun for a bit, we can test the whole leaf and see where the food, that starch, was actually made.
And boom, the result is it's undeniable. The iodine turns the green parts a dark blue-black, which is the signal that starch is there. But the white areas, they stay that boring orange-brown color. The conclusion is crystal clear: no chlorophyll, no food. It's absolutely essential to the recipe.
Next up, what about light? The setup for this one is just as clever. By covering a tiny strip of a leaf with some foil, we basically create a little sunblock for that section. Then we just have to see if that part of the leaf can still make food without any light.
And again, the evidence is totally stark. The parts of the leaf that were out in the sun turned blue-black, meaning they were full of starch. But that little strip that was kept in the dark under the foil? Zilch, nothing. It just stays orange-brown. So no light, no photosynthesis. Case closed.
All right, finally, let's test for carbon dioxide. For this one, you seal one plant inside a jar with a chemical that sucks all the CO2 out of the air. Then, you set up a second plant, that's our control, in a normal environment. You give both of them plenty of light, and you wait.
And the result? Well, the control plant, the one that had plenty of CO2, made starch just fine. Its leaf turns blue-black. But the plant that was starved of CO2? Nothing. Its leaves stay orange-brown. This totally confirms that carbon dioxide is a non-negotiable part of the recipe.
Okay, so we've confirmed our recipe. Now let's take a tour inside the factory itself. Because a leaf, it's a total marvel of biological engineering, perfectly designed for one primary job.
I mean, just look at this incredible design. The leaf is broad and flat to act like a giant solar panel. On the inside, you've got cells packed to the brim with chloroplasts. Those are the tiny green reactors where all the magic happens. There's a whole network of air spaces and tiny pores to let carbon dioxide in, while this sophisticated plumbing system brings water up and ships the finished sugar out. It's just a perfect, self-contained little factory.
So, the factory has made its product, glucose. But what happens to it now? This isn't just about making one single meal for the plant. No, this sugar is the fundamental fuel for pretty much everything the plant does.
And glucose is unbelievably versatile. Some of it gets burned right away for immediate energy. A whole lot of it gets converted into starch and stored for later, like in a potato. It can also be turned into tough cellulose to build strong cell walls, or into sucrose so it can be easily transported around the plant.
It's even the starting point for making fats and proteins. It's the ultimate biological multitasker.
Now, just like any factory, a plant can't always run at 100% capacity. The whole production line can get slowed down if you run out of a key supply. In biology, we call these limiting factors.
So let's ask the obvious question. What happens on a really cloudy day? Or what happens when the sun starts to go down and light is in short supply?
Well, as you might guess, as you increase the light, the rate of photosynthesis just goes up and up, faster and faster and faster, until it hits a plateau. It just levels off. At that point, throwing more light at it won't help at all, because something else, maybe the amount of CO2 available, has become the new bottleneck. The factory is basically waiting on a different delivery truck.
And this same exact principle holds true for our other key factors, right? Things like the concentration of CO2 in the air, or the temperature outside.
Yeah, the rule's pretty simple. The rate of photosynthesis is only as fast as its slowest factor. More CO2 will speed things up, but only until light becomes the new bottleneck. Now, temperature is a bit unique. The rate increases as it gets warmer, but only up to an ideal point. If it gets too hot, the delicate little enzymes that control the reactions start to break down. They denature, and the entire factory just grinds to a halt.
And all these details, it all leads to a truly profound idea. From the plant's point of view, the oxygen it pumps out is just waste. It's a leftover it doesn't need. But for us, and for almost all complex life on this planet, that waste product is absolutely everything. It is the very air we breathe. It's the gas that completely transformed our planet's atmosphere and made our own existence possible.
So, let's end with this thought. Plants took a waste gas, carbon dioxide, and some sunlight, and they literally built the foundation for our entire world. They look at waste and see a raw material. So what could we, as a species, create if we learn to see our own challenges, our own waste products with that same kind of chemical genius? What could we build?